Welcome to the Sportsline Podcast here on CHCH and the Parrot Media platform. I'm Bubba O'Neill. Well, no doubt, folks, just like yourself, are seeking sports content, especially when it pertains to athletes, teams, broadcasters, and executives from our very own backyard. Recently, a dream has come true for a young basketball player that once attended Sir Allan McNabb High School. In less than a decade, Hamilton's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has established himself as one of the world's premier basketball players. Last year, the man known to most as SGA almost reached the top of the mountaintop. This year, he's the NBA most valuable player. Like always, Shai praising others around him.
You try so hard throughout the season to not think about it and just worry about playing basketball and getting better and trying to win games. But as a competitor and as a kid dreaming about the game, it's always in the back of your mind. And I'm very thankful to be this side of the ballot. But none of it's possible without the guys behind me. The amount of games we won and the fashion that we won the games is so impressive, and it's probably the main reason why I get the award. So without them, it's not possible.
Well, it has been quite a year in the metropolitan of Oklahoma City, and to give us a little taste of how OKC are loving SGA is Thunder beat writer Joel Lorenzi from the Oklahoman. Welcome, Joel. Boy, it's got to be a fun time in your city.
Indeed it is. Thanks for having me.
What's going on with SGA in your city? How has your community embraced our young Canadian superstar?
Yeah, I mean, he's the biggest thing since Russell Westbrook, which to this city means everything. I mean, that dude, Russ, was a deity here. Just to illustrate how much this event, this accomplishment means to the city, today, May 22nd, is officially Shai Day in the city of OKC, declared by the mayor of OKC. So this accomplishment, this whole thing, the way he's pumped life back into the city is everything. Because when you zoom out and you look at the Thunder's success, just how far they are, the fact that they're favorites to win the finals this year, which is crazy to think about when you look back 3-4 years when the Thunder was losing, most of its games. Shai has so much to do with that. Shai is the system. There are people who will argue, this team, and it is deep, but this team and his competition with Jokic, they'll argue that, it's a super team, whatever, but Shai is the system. And it's really hard to say otherwise. He's become a player that should be, in a few days, a third straight first team All-NBA player. So Shai's everything to the city. He's brought hoops back to the pinnacle where really in this city, in its youthful existence, that's where it belongs.
There was quite a competition, and it was fair that those who liked, in essence, Nikola Jokic for this award, the voters certainly were leaning SGA's way. But in your opinion, what separated Shai from Nikola from winning this award this year and being the NBA MVP?
The winning. I think the winning coupled with the scoring prowess, it's just... Because obviously, Jokic, phenomenal player. I think that guy is maybe almost top 10 all time already. He's boasted an incredible resume and had maybe his best season yet. But for the injuries that the Thunder dealt with and how much of a common denominator for the wins that Shai was, I think they were 63-13 when he played. It's just hard to argue against that. I mean, it's a franchise record of wins. It's been a few years since a team has won that many games, and you look at the teams that were that dominant in NBA history, and the last one was the Dynasty Warriors, which may be the best team of all time. So you couple the winning with the fact that he smoked the rest of the league in scoring, it's hard to argue against that.
His awards day yesterday, the speech, all encompassing, the interviews, the teammates are always close by his side. And when he did, as you saw on the TNT interview, he had his teammates there to the NBA presentation and what he called the speech. His teammates were there and his coaches. we kind of saw a different side of Shai as he really, really opened up. First of all, let's start with this. He gives all of his teammates Rolex watches. Did you get a Rolex watch? First of all.
Oh.
Okay, fair enough, though. But he just seems so close with his teammates. I mean, you're there at practice all the time. Is it that fun all the time for these guys?
I think so. And part of that is that they're all close in age. I mean, that's been the argument against them, right? Is that like how many teams do you find this successful, that at least in the regular season, that are truly competent in the postseason? And they've kind of pushed back on a lot of those notions because now they're in the Western Conference Finals. They're the favorites. But that's been the most pointed argument against them, is like, hey, they're too young to do this. But I think on the other side of that is that they just genuinely enjoy each other's company. They have the same interests. They're all 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, in that range, to where they enjoy the same things. They enjoy being around each other. It's a really unique dynamic, and I think you see it play out on the court. They hang out so much together, and that's why I think you saw Shai truly wound up in emotions, because I think those guys, this group, means so much to him, and it's a pretty rare thing to find.
When he spoke about Haley and obviously being a dad, I mean, it did show a whole different side of him. He basically broke down, and for many people, it was wonderful to see. Even people I know that were very close to him that just say, no, that really is the real Shai. What have you seen? Is there any difference in him in terms of being a dad now and being a husband and all the responsibilities that come with that, and being the leader of the pack with this team? Have you noticed any differences from the guy that came in here, I guess, 2019?
Yeah, from what I know about Shai, I've only been around Shai a few years now, but from what I know about Shai, he's always been relatively mature, especially comparatively to, guys his age. I mean, he's still only 26, 27 this summer. But as far as the way things changed for him when he became a family man, I think you've seen that maturity excel to the point where I think it's made him a guy that you can truly put a franchise on his weight, because I think he sees things differently now. I mean, he said as much, he can't possibly be as self-centered as he maybe could have been without his son, without Aries, without his wife Haley, because he has to worry about. He said as much, like, he can't leave a cereal bowl around the house these days. Like, he just has to think about others. He has to be selfless to the point where I think it's maybe translated to basketball too. He is in that building. It's generally, from what I understand, changed his perspective on a lot of things, and it accelerated his maturity to a level that even before I thought was impressive, but now you can truly see it. And I think, that was the first time I've ever seen him cry. So I think that should mean something in terms of just how much they meant to him, and how much receiving that and then being part of that meant to him.
And to that point, there is an element of Shai which is just in another world. I mean, he loves the fashion, the clothes that he wears. I remember a sit down with Kim Kardashian. He's a superstar. I mean, coming out of Oklahoma City, based in Hamilton. Again, and from what I hear, and I'll ask you this, he hasn't changed. Like, he's still that same kind of grounded man. We see a lot of NBA superstars that when they come from college and, they get the sights and the bright lights are shining, they become different people. Does it surprise you that he has still remained Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the young kid?
I don't think so. I think for him, and he'll revert back to this all the time, is that the ultimate goal for him is winning. And so will his desires change when he wins? If he wins 1, 2, maybe more rings, I don't know. But until then, I think he just likes to be best situated and put in the best position to win. And you think about the things that he needs to do so, and it's his people close to him. It's the best possible work environment, which I think he cited that he feels he has, and it's the clothes. Obviously, like those are the things that matter to him. Looking good, playing good, being put in a position to win, and so he's had those, and I'm not surprised that he hasn't reached for more. And maybe when he wins, if he wins, he will. But until then, I think he's pretty content with what's around him.
That's a great point that you brought up there, because you look at Oklahoma City and they are the picture-perfect example of an NBA small market. And we can be truthful here. Durant, Westbrook, George, Harden, players that have been and built their reputation in your fine city, but left. Yet I get a feeling that Shai's pretty comfortable in Oklahoma City.
He is. He said as much. I vividly remember when they took the trip to Cleveland earlier this season, he got asked, whether small markets are enough for superstars amid all this, ongoing debate style conversation about, stars being hungry or wanting more. I mean, we'll see it this summer with Giannis. But in response to that, Shai was just kind of like, I have the things in place to where I come to work and I'm happy. I have the things I need. I have the things I need to win, to be happy, the situation around me, the staff. I mean, he credited during his acceptance speech yesterday, just went down the line with the ownership and those in the front office, Mark Daignault, he sort of just went down the list of the people who are in position to what he described, make it so that all he has to worry about is basketball and having fun playing basketball instead of, having to pull strings like maybe other superstars do and having to voice this and that. Like they've put him in a position where he can just have a line drive view of, what the goal, I guess you could say. So he seems to be content with what OKC offers.
Let's talk about where this team is right now, Final Four status, and that's a very special place on the verge of a Western Conference championship. There are, games still to be won. What's the confidence level amongst the Thunder fans, the faithful? Obviously, Paycom Center looks like a real fun place to be. What's the feeling and the energy going on in your team, in your area right now for this club?
Well, I think if you ask the fans, they thought that the Thunder should have won last year, and they definitely think they're the favorites this year. I mean, they're certainly the betting favorites this year. I don't think people are less than confident, especially after game one. I mean, people's temperament changes with each game. That's just the nature of the playoffs. But I think this team, especially after last round, getting through a 7-game series with Denver, I mean, all the things you have to do in a series with Jokic, to endure that, I think has left people wildly confident, especially considering that for Shai, the Shai era of the Thunder, they've only played in 5 playoff series with him as a first option. So to endure that last series, coupled with what they went through last year with the Dallas series, those 2 second-round series, I think people feel they've proven their mettle and they have enough experience under their belt now to go all the way, especially when you look at the rest of the field. I think people thought that Boston would remain and be the favorites, and now that they're out the way, I think people feel like the field is wide open for the Thunder.
You've obviously to be a beat writer for an NBA team, you've obviously are a fan of the sport. You appreciate the other players around the league, and maybe to some point you're a bit of a historian as well to the league. I look back at the players. I too have watched this sport for a long time, and I don't know if I've ever seen a player like Shai. Like his style, his body control. Like there seems to be a bit of like plasticine, elastic band around. Like he will do anything to contort his body to get to the basket. Have you ever seen anyone play like this fella?
I can't say I have. And there's obviously elements that you feel like in the lab that might have been poured into the potion of Shai. Like you can argue Harden's foul drawing, some of Kobe's footwork and moves. Like there are people who draw comparisons, but overall, like the combination of Shai is a big guard at 6'6", so he's likened to Mike and Kobe, but the the way he changes gears, he's like a 10-speed bike. The way he's mastered the mid-range, you might liken him to some people there. But the amount of drives at his size, I mean, he's been the league's leading driver for years running. And I think he's just this sort of such a unique package that people are still struggling to kind of grasp what he is. I think a lot of the pushback on his MVP season has been trying to grasp who he is, and certainly the free throw merchant stuff, trying to grasp how he gets to the line so often. It's people still trying to understand what he truly is. And I think all that points to the idea that no, I don't think there has been anybody quite like him. He's probably the product of evolution in this new era of basketball, honestly.
Can I ask you about Coach Daniel? Like, what's his approach like? He seems, I'm trying to still figure him out as well, too. Obviously doing a wonderful job. His win-loss record is incredible.
Yeah, stoic is what he is. And I think, like, for as expressionless as Shai can be, like, Dagnall is truly expressionless. Now, if you get close enough, if you're sitting at the scorer's table during a game, he's louder than most people might think, especially when talking to the officials. Those are his favorite talking partners. But like, that dude is just, he's very observant. He stands away from the bench because he said that he doesn't like the chatter that comes from the bench. He doesn't like people reaching to him to talk to him so often during the games. Like, he likes to observe. He squints when he observes. That's his signature. He's just sort of observing everything as this sort of mad scientist who loves to experiment. And for him, this is only his 5th playoff series. So this is just as new to him. And he's in sort of a similar position to Shai, where Shai's being relied on to be the closer, the emotional leader for this team as such a young guy. But Mark Dagnall at 40 is being relied on almost the same way.
Well, let's hope that he gets the job done in terms of coaching. One last one for you. And I don't know if it's different because we are so far away in terms of geography, but do you get a feeling, or is there a knowledge in Oklahoma City of what Shai means to Canada and Canadian basketball players, and the fact that, many before him, like a Steve Nash, like a Vince Carter, who wasn't Canadian but played in the Canadian market, helped to grow the game? Is there an appreciation of perhaps wow, that guy's pretty big in Canada right now? And of course, with the MVP announcement, it's gone to a whole new level.
Yeah, it's probably a faint appreciation. I don't know from an outsider's view that this country, let alone OKC, can truly understand what he's meant to the resurrection of Canada basketball and bringing Canada back to the Olympic field and everything that comes with that. Like, I know Canada's a prideful country when it comes to basketball. You mentioned Steve Nash. Like, I think that's the connection that people make. Like, okay, maybe he's the best player since Steve Nash. Maybe he's the best Canadian player ever, I think, is now the conversation. So I think that's where the appreciation starts to come in, that he can mean so much to a country, be the face of the sport for the country, and maybe the face of the sports history for the country. I think that's where the appreciation starts to come in. But then again, I don't think this country will ever begin to truly grasp that. I mean, from what I've understood, being around people from Canada basketball, like, I don't even think Shai's had time to digest that, and maybe he won't until the next Olympics or when his career is done, honestly.
He is Joel Lorenzi of the Oklahoman, and we always appreciate your time. And I don't know, maybe if you guys get to the final, I might get a little trip out there from the station out there to cover the finals, and we'll get to meet face to face. But certainly appreciate your time, your insight. Take care of our little Hamiltonian, and I hope you're certainly enjoying what his best talents are.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Folks, that's your Sportsline Podcast for the day. And if you just seen and heard, we love talking sports. Of course, when we love talking about our local superstar. If you do know of an athlete, team, or event to promote, the Sportsline Podcast want to hear from you. Please hit that thumbs up, like, and subscribe button. And if you have something to say, please comment. For the outstanding people that make the Sportsline Podcast possible, I always thank you, and we'll see you soon.